Hello and welcome to Dream Car Garage. We've not done a video in a while, so I thought I'd just get out on a nice sunny day and give you a review of my very own Mazda 323 Sport. It's a 2002 car, and you'll see from the outside that it's not in bad nick. Now, there's a popular belief that if you spend anywhere in the region of £1,000 and you can't possibly hope to have a decent car, the best you can hope to have is a shed. So this is a Mazda 323 Sport. This has a 4-cylinder, 2-litre, 16-valve engine, and back in the day it would have been considered maybe a hot hatch, possibly a warm hatch. It has 129 bhp, about 140 odd pounds-feet of torque. And I bought this car about 2 years ago for about £600. You heard me correctly? £600. So over the time I've had it, what kind of stuff has gone wrong? Well, I've had to change the brakes, I've had to change a few tyres, but that's kind of ordinary stuff. Anything really serious happened? Well, one of the most serious things that have happened on it really is that the car developed some rust on the wheel arches. So I've redone those just last week, so the wheel arches are back to normal again. So that's kind of one of the things you have to suffer with a slightly older car, but things about rust. But apart from that, what have we got? Well, we've got a pretty decent, quite solid, surprisingly enjoyable car to drive. Now I'm driving around some roads near where I live, some nice twisty roads, and you can really have a bit of fun in this car. So what have we got? We've got a fairly nice, comfortable interior that's weathered extremely well. It's got no tech to mention. It's got a CD player. It's got electric windows all round. It's got air conditioning. It's got power steering, electric mirrors, electric heated mirrors. So it's got some decent kit, but not tech like you describe tech now. What I've added is I've added a Bluetooth receiver so that I can now connect my phone to it. So I mean, all the functionality of my phone, which is pretty much what you get from any modern car now, is now channeled through my speakers. So in essence, I've upgraded my speaker system for the sake of, about 50 quid of Bluetooth receiver. So that's worked quite well. So what's this thing like to drive? Well, surprisingly enjoyable. One of the features I like the most about this particular car is the gear change. Changing gears in this car, and you'll find in Mazdas in general, is a really enjoyable experience. I love changing the gear in this car. You can drive it really smoothly, you can drive it quite aggressively. Let's give it some beans down here now. But if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, it's not what you'd call a fast car. Although it may have been the GTI equivalent of yesteryear, things have moved on significantly. So I would not call this a fast car. I would imagine most modern cars of 1.6 or 2 litre, thereabouts, would probably keep up with this car, if not give this car a good run for its money. And it wouldn't even have to be a performance car to do that. So it's not a fast car. But the good thing about it is that even at 50, 60, 70 miles an hour, you can still have a surprising amount of fun. Which leads on to its second thing, which I like about it quite a bit, and that's the fact that it's got really nice handling. It's got really nicely weighted steering. The handling's nice and balanced and fluid. It can go around bends and corners, and it holds on quite nicely. It's not a very stiff suspension, so you do kind of lean quite a bit in the corners. So apart from the kind of builds you'd expect, brakes and minor things like that, I've had a good run out of this car. It's not cost me too much over the years. A couple of times I had to get a little bit of welding done, which, with a car this age is reasonable to expect. But, over the years, £600 it cost me. I can't say I spent more than £400 on a car. So that's £1,000 over 2 years. And it's, to my eyes, it's still a good-looking, solid, well-built car that's proven to be fairly reliable for £1,000. Another thing, which is quite interesting, is that it's a surprisingly rare car. At the time of filming this, there was only one other Mazda 323 Sport available in the whole of the country. Now you may say that's not a bad thing. Whatever, you want to be cruel. But it is quite a rare car. It's not the kind of car people are going to stop and think, oh, is that a Mazda 323? Oh, they're quite rare then. No, you're not going to get any of that. But it is nice to know that you're driving a car that's enjoyable to drive, not cost you much, in decent nick, and You're not going to see a shed load of them all over the place. It's rarer than the rarest of Aston Martins. You've probably seen a 200-300 Aston Martin or McLaren or Lamborghini before you've seen one of these on the road. Just saying. It makes a fairly nice sound as well. A 2-litre 16 valve. Not a very torquey unit. You know what it is? What it is. I think what I like about this car, it's like a bit when you go to the supermarket and you get like some donuts on Whoops, and the price has been reduced from £2.50 to like 50p. Somehow, Whoops products, they seem to taste a little bit better. The fact that you've got a bargain kind of sweetens it a bit. If you pay 100 grand for a car, your expectations are extremely high. You better believe you're going to want to get a pretty solid car that meets every single one of your needs and ticks every single box, because you paid so much for it. When you only pay £600 for a car, your expectations are quite low. So when it performs well, it's almost like, wow, this is a surprisingly nice car to drive. When you think, I've not paid that much for it, it makes it even sweeter. If you're the kind of person that wants to be looked at or stared at when you're driving down the street because your car looks totally awesome, this, I must confess, is not the car for you. Mazdas traditionally have kind of been the kind of cars that drove really well, really reliable, but kind of gone under the radar, and I think this one is of that particular mould. The more modern Mazdas you get now, they're more dramatic in styling, so to speak, but to be fair, this is of the mould whereby you'll see it and not see it. But I don't mind that so much. I'm not hating the fact that I've got a kind of car that can fly a little bit under the radar. I'm okay with that. And when you want to just cruise, it's a nice place to cruise in. The figures suggest it will do 120 odd miles an hour. I've never come close to even doing anywhere near that. To be honest with you, reasonably speaking, it will cruise between 70 and 90 miles an hour on the motorway perfectly well, relatively quiet. Not the quietest car, get a little bit of wind noise here and there. Nice sunny day. It is the kind of car that you would take out a nice sunny day just to go for a nice drive, like I'm doing right now. This is the kind of car that encourages brisk driving, but not pants on fire at the ragged edge type driving. It won't reward you if you do that. It'll petrify you because it's not taut enough for that. But if you're driving at 6/10, 7/10, fairly briskly, then you'll enjoy this car. It's not the kind of car that I'd feel comfortable really pushing to the very edge. To do that, I'd need stronger brakes, I'd need stiff suspension because it simply rolled too much in the corners. But when you think that this car is 19 years old, let me repeat that. It's 19 years old and it cost £600. And I spent just £400 over the last 2 and a bit years. So it's £1,000. This car's cost me £500 a year. I mean, good looking, reliable. What a bargain. So I guess in essence what I'm saying here is that you can get, oops, that's the one turning I want. You can get a good car for £1,000. Now my tip would be, if I was going to put £1,000, if I only had £1,000 to spend on a car or less, I would probably be inclined to think Japanese. If you're going to spend £500 on a car or £1,000, my tip, buy Japanese, because I would expect that they would really last.
Don't you see?